What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to EP09. And we have some very exciting updates today. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Welcome back to EP09 Bodybuilding. We're going to get right into this one, starting off with an update from Michal Krizo, currently sitting at 2 weeks out of the Pittsburgh Pro, 3 weeks out from the New York Pro. And as I learned, Krizo actually has one more show picked for this 2025 season. I would say for him to try and solidify his chance of getting that Olympia qualification. But as of right now, for 2 weeks out, Krizo currently still over in Slovakia. He is looking beyond, and I mean beyond, dry right now. This is definitely the driest I have ever seen Michal Krizo to date. Whatever it is that George Farrah is doing, it's safe to say that it's definitely working right now. And you gotta remember as well, Michal Krizo only a few short months ago getting shoulder surgery where he basically had to start back from, well, I don't want to say square one because the guy's an absolute mass monster, but I mean, to recover that quickly and be ready for a show the same year, I'm just saying, not every competitor would be able to pull that off. So again, the dryness right now from Krizo, I think is part of the overall strategy for him to come in, I think at the tightest that he's ever been. And I think that he is on track to do that. You guys got to remember, the more shrink wrapped that Michal Krizo can look on stage, I think the tighter that his waistline can look. And that's definitely something that Krizo needs at this point. When he does get on stage, the waistline is something that I think holds him back just a little bit. Now, the other things that can really help him when it comes to that, more quad sweep. We have not seen any updates basically from Michal Krizo when it comes to the legs. We haven't really seen anything when it comes to the back. So how are those things looking when it comes to Krizo right now? We honestly have no idea. We get the most musculars, we get the side shots, which look crazy, don't get me wrong. But has Krizo made any significant improvements in the places that he's really needed to, especially from the back when it comes to the lower body? It'll be interesting to see exactly how he does show up, especially with such a competitive lineup like the Pittsburgh Pro. Now, in one of Krizo's most recent YouTube videos, he actually had a Q&A section where he was asked where he thinks he'll actually place when it comes to the Pittsburgh Pro. And he does make reference to the bigger names that are in that show. Derek Lunsford, Martin Fitzwater, Nick Walker, you've got William Bonac. He throws in good veto on that as well. And he's actually quite realistic. You can see he says here, I should be within the top 6. Should be. Not a guarantee. And I think Krizo knows that, which is exactly why we also heard Krizo say in this video that he is committed to competing in Alicante, Spain, which is the Empro Classic. We have seen Krizo compete there before. Krizo has actually won that show before, and that's his backup plan, basically. That is where Krizo wants to go in order to get his Olympia qualification. He's quite realistic, I think, about the fact that he will not win his Olympia qualification at the Pittsburgh. He will not win his Olympia qualification at the New York Pro. Chances are good. So Alicante, Spain, I think is a good decision. It's pretty much right in the middle of the season. He can still stay in relatively good shape overall in order to just maintain to go into that show from New York. And I think he's got a very good chance of winning it. Typically not an extremely competitive lineup that we see over there in Alicante, Spain. So I think that's a very good plan. So I think it is pretty safe to say that we will see Michal Krizo back on the Olympia stage in 2025. However, it is not a guarantee that we will see Michal Krizo back in that top 10 because things are much more competitive in 2025 than I think they were going to be in 2024. So that's definitely something that Krizo has to consider. However, if he's made the improvements to his back, if he's made the improvements to his lower body, and if that midsection is going to be more dialed in than we have ever seen from Michal Krizo, then he's got a shot at making it back into that top 10. So you guys let me know what you think about this version of Michal Krizo. What do you think about his decision to actually do Pittsburgh and his analysis thinking he's going to make it into what he hopes to be the top 6? Not saying that he'll be top 3, not even top 4. You guys let me know what you think about that in the comments below. We'll wait and see who's actually going to show up into New York. We don't have a full list of who could be competing there as of yet. So we'll see what happens. And let me know what you think about his backup plan to go into Alicante and try and win his Olympia qualification there. And with the competition season in full swing, basically right after the Pittsburgh Pro kicks off, one competitor we have heard nothing from as of yet is Neckzilla. Rubiel Mosquera, we still have heard nothing in terms of when he may step on stage this year, or even if he will step on stage this year at all. The last I heard anything about Rubiel Mosquera actually stepping on stage was back in October, when I messaged his coach directly. Rubiel, currently coached by Francisco Jose Espin. I was told at that time that it was visa issues that was holding up Rubiel from actually being there in person to do a prep with his coach. Now, I have seen recent training footage where he has been with his coach training, so apparently that isn't an issue anymore. Perhaps he had some contractual obligations when it came to appearances that he had to do, and he didn't want to start a prep because of that. Maybe not the best excuse, but let's just say for the sake of argument, that was the case. We did recently see Rubiel at the FIBO, which was just a couple of weeks ago. Well, that's over and done with now. The fact of the matter is, if Rubiel is going to compete, I think that 1, excuses are running out, and 2, time is running out. If he is going to be prepping for a show, that has to start right now. And based on what we're seeing here from these physique updates, which I do think are fairly recent, I think that he is at a decent kickoff point for him to go and do a prep. You know, we could see him be ready in, say, 12 to 16 weeks, I would say. More on the 16-week side of things, given the fact that this guy seems to be just a little bit more inconsistent than other bodybuilders. So let's say 16 weeks. That would still give him enough time to get ready for a show and potentially earn that Olympia qualification and finally follow through on what the fans really want, which is to see him on that Olympia stage. But I think that Rubiel has a lot of work to do with the bodybuilding fans of the world out there. Obviously, when it comes to just the general fitness world, I think that he's still in pretty good standing. But when it comes to the fans of seeing him on stage, he's got a lot of ground to make up. He skipped out on, what was it, 4 shows or 5 shows in 2024 that he said he was going to do, including the 2 Arnold Classics and a New York Pro. Certainly does not look good to the fans. It does not look good to the administration of bodybuilding as well, which has to be a consideration when it comes to a young competitor still trying to make their living in this sport. So you guys, I do not know if we will see Rubiel Mosquera on stage in 2025. I would be thrilled to hear that he actually is going to come out and compete. But do I think it's actually going to happen? Honestly, based on what we saw last year, I think that it could go one of 2 ways. Either he has a sense of urgency in order to make sure that he does compete this year, or we don't see him compete this year. And if we don't, then I don't know if we will ever see him back on a bodybuilding stage. Maybe this fitness influencer, Instagram bodybuilder lifestyle is enough for him right now. Maybe it's all that he wants to do. Like I said, though, the last I spoke to his coach, the intent was to get ready for another show. So maybe that is a little bit encouraging in that sense. But really, it's minuscule when it comes to that encouragement right now. You guys let me know what you think about this current version of Neckzilla. Do you think we will see him on stage in 2025? Or as a fan of bodybuilding, and you know, a fan of seeing this guy on stage when we did see him on stage, is it really something that you're still holding out for? Or do you think that his time has come and gone? And after a much needed and very well-deserved break from the stage, Samson Dauda makes an appearance as a guest poser at the Berlin Classic in Germany. Actually, Dennis James was one of the commentators for this show. And this is an absolutely insane look when it comes to a guest posing. Samson actually said it was about 10 weeks ago at this point where he came off basically all of the super supplements and was letting his body just take a break from it all. So at this point, it would be, like I said, about the 10-week mark where Samson is on nothing, essentially. This is insane to consider that this is Samson without pushing any kind of envelope. And you know, that really speaks to the genetic freak that Samson really is, and how much his body has adapted to the amount of muscle that he is carrying. And I think this is a good expectation to have for our current Mr. Olympia. This is what we want to see from this guy. Samson, of course, no stranger to going out meeting the fans, doing the seminars, and doing the guest posings. And I think it's actually good for Samson to make an appearance like this, especially just after losing to Derek Lunsford at the Arnold Classic. I think that it's important for fans to know that, one, he's not shook up about that. He's still the reigning Mr. Olympia. He's still very confident in what he can do and what he can bring to the stage. And I think he still has every reason to be confident. Derek was the best on that day. It was an excellent version of Derek Lunsford, perhaps the best that we've ever seen. Really, it just comes down to conditioning for Samson. He doesn't really need anything else. Some people speak about the midsection and how that seems to be getting maybe a little bit more blown out as he continues to put on size, but I still think the ability is there for him to keep that in control, gain more conditioning, especially from the back and the lower body. That would be a significant improvement for Samson Dauda to step on stage again. And don't kid yourself, when the judges see these guys from one competition to another, 1 year to another, especially a Mr. Olympia champion, they're looking for improvements from just that competitor as well. Now, of course, a lot of it is what compares on stage from physique to physique, but Mr. Olympia is held to a very high standard. If Samson was to be shredded in that lower body the next time he takes the stage at the Olympia, he stands that much more of a chance of putting himself back in the winner's circle to take home his second Olympia title. But man, what a boost of confidence for Samson as well. The fans absolutely lit the place up for Samson, literally lit the place up. Samson actually took to his Instagram and said he will definitely be back to Germany next year. He really enjoyed the experience, probably his best guest posing experience that he's ever had. And I think this shows that this is really good for the passionate fans of bodybuilding out there, but also very good for the competitors to get out there as well, meet the fans. And like I said, Samson maybe just getting that little bit more of a confidence boost by getting back on stage. He can take that energy back home, put it into the off season, and then carry that over into the prep for the Olympia. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how Samson is going to show up on stage in 2025 to try and defend his title. So again, a very, very crazy update from Samson Dauda with his guest posing at the Berlin Classic. I think that we will see Samson do more appearances this year. Last year, this guy did well over a dozen appearances around the world. So I think that we'll see Samson out on the road more, promoting the sport, promoting his brand. And I think that's good for him. I think it's good for the sport. I think it's good for the bodybuilding fans around the world. So you guys let me know what you think about this version of Samson Dauda. Let me know what you think Samson needs to do in order to make improvements to come into the 2025 Olympia and show the world why he is still #1 in the sport of bodybuilding. You guys let me know what you think about that. Rounding out this video with an update from Larry Wheels and Wesley Vissers actually getting together for a posing session after the FIBO in Germany. Larry Wheels making the announcement that he will be competing again and is currently at 5 weeks out. Wesley Vissers giving him some tips on posing before he steps on stage. Now, I think this is interesting for a couple of reasons. Number one is, as far as I knew, Larry was done competing to try and earn his pro card, which is the goal here. He wants to get that pro card. But as far as I knew, he was done trying to compete. In fact, as far as I knew, Larry was done doing any super supplements beyond just doing basically like a TRT dose. So it appears that that is no longer the case for Larry Wheels. What changed when it came to Larry actually wanting to get back on stage and try and earn that pro card again? Well, there's been speculation out there in the world of bodybuilding that perhaps after seeing Sam Sulek earn his pro card, that may have changed Larry's decision on actually competing again. And you know, I think in the right lineup, in the right show, if Larry did show up with that conditioning and he did have improved posing, perhaps he could get his pro card. I don't think it's necessarily out of the cards for Larry Wheels at this point. And you got to remember, this has been something he's been trying to get for, what, 7 years, maybe a little bit more than that. So it's understandable that he wants to try and step on stage again. I think it would definitely have to be the right lineup, and I think that he would have to be in crazy shape, more conditioned than he's ever been for sure. But if all those things come together, the stars could possibly align for Larry Wheels. And guys, I don't talk about Larry Wheels a lot on my channel because at the end of the day, you know, I think it's crazy the things that he can do when it comes to strength training, when it comes to powerlifting, absolutely insane. He's done things that I think no one else will probably ever do. But when it comes to being an IFBB pro, I think that Larry will probably earn his pro card and then probably not compete ever again, to be honest. So take that for what it is. But you guys let me know what you think about this current version of Larry Wheels. Do you think that he can earn his pro card? And if he does earn that pro card, do you think that we will ever see him step on stage ever again? But I'm going to wrap up the video right here. Make sure you guys go over to bayoumuscles.com. Use code EP10 at checkout. Appreciate all the support on the channel here, you guys. But that's it for me in this video. Thank you guys for tuning into EP09. Be sure to like and subscribe.